Hi guys, today I'm doing a video I've been wanting to do for so long. Obviously you can tell by the title this is a list of times that things that happened on Charmed didn't make sense. Now Charmed, obviously you clicked on this video if you probably don't know what it is, but Charmed is like one of my all-time favorite shows. This is a show that no matter how much it doesn't make sense, no matter how many things could have been fixed with one little tiny little thing, I still love it. I've watched every single episode way too many times. I mean, I've watched it from the beginning to the end probably, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but like 20 times. Like, I know that sounds absolutely insane, but this is a show I've watched from when it first started, like as a child, and I probably shouldn't have been because I was like 6 when it started. Before Netflix was a thing, I was watching them because me and my sister had them all on DVDs. We bond over that show more than like anything else. I can tell you every order of every episode, the name of them, like half of the quotes, like it's pretty bad. I am so obsessed with this show that I'm like annoyed that Netflix doesn't have the original theme song and a lot of the original music that they have like in the DVDs and when they do repeats on TV. And if you picked up on that, then you are a real Charmed fan. But it's annoying because it's not true to the show, but I love it regardless. With the prequel news breaking pretty recently, I thought I would finally get this video up. Now I have about 9 or 10 pages of things that didn't make sense on Charmed in a notebook, so if you haven't like finished the series or something, you might want to not watch this video because obviously there's going to be spoilers, so I'd assume that most people who watch this have seen the show. So I hope you don't take offense by this, or if you disagree with me, whatever, let me know. Like, I'd love to have a chat about it because I know that Charmed is a show a lot of people probably love. So like I said, I wanted to make these in order, but they're not really in order, so we're just going to go with this and hopefully you understand like what I'm talking about. So the first thing I have written down here is why they didn't have a crystal cage around the whole house. I guess that would just kind of put the whole show in like a moot point, but still. And then this one, sometimes ghosts have powers and sometimes they don't. All the ghost scenarios in that show make no sense because sometimes ghosts stick around, sometimes they go up so slow that like Leo or someone has time to heal a person, sometimes they go up immediately, some of them can move things, some of them can't. Oh, and then this one is one that's bothered me for so long. Now, Cole's probably my favorite male character on the entire show. The whole time, Cole is just the best person, and the whole situation with him really pisses me off. You could think of Prue's death and Cole becoming the source as like equally as bad in my eyes, or also Billy being introduced was really bad too. The whole season 8 pisses me off. They should have just ended at the end of season 7. That would have been a perfect ending, regardless of that. So in the beginning, when they were like meeting him, they all think he's a human and stuff before they realize that he's in fact a demon. And they go into the courtroom and Piper freezes just the demons, but he doesn't freeze. Later on, when he's Balthazar, he freezes like all the time. So was it because he was working with that shadow thing and he had like the help of the triad? Because later he doesn't have all that stuff. Like, did they give him extra powers? And all those other powers he had, not only did he not freeze then, but he was able to like switch the books, the bags at the store, so that he would have to talk to Phoebe again. And later on he can't do those sorts of things. But then also what I'm curious about is because he's half human, half demon. This is like obviously going way deep into the deepest hole of the show. So if he's half human, half demon, when Phoebe had a premonition about him, like his father was human and his mother was a demon, the mother killed the father and took him, and he was like 2 or 3 in that vision she had. So was he just like a little kid, and then when he was like 8 years old, he all of a sudden morphed into Balthazar? Like, when did that happen? He was like a little baby Balthazar, or was he like it hit him at a certain age? Or was he raised in hell? Has he been killing people since he was like 15? Or did he like hit and mature at age 30, like whatever age he was supposed to be, and he wasn't supposed to like get older? He just like hit that age and then he became a demon? Oh, and here's one. So orbing has obviously changed throughout the seasons. From season 1 to season 8, the way it happens changed because like technology got better, obviously. But sometimes they show orbing leaving the house, and then other times you can't see it, just immediately disappears. And sometimes when the elders like jingle or whatever, Piper can hear it, but then sometimes only he has to tell her. Also, anytime they're attacked by a dark lighter, literally anytime. Leo's not the only white lighter in the world. Why couldn't another white lighter just be like, oh yo, like send another white lighter over to heal him? Why does it have to be so complicated and dramatic and drawn out? Oh, and then this. Okay, so when Leo heals for them, it's so weird. So sometimes when they're almost dying on the verge of death, it takes longer. And then sometimes they're also almost dying and it heals like super fast. And then sometimes they're like sweating and like being like, like can't breathe, and then he heals them and they're still like struggling, and then sometimes he heals them and they're totally 100% fine. When they had that demon that tried to kill that girl, and actually he did kill the girl in the library because she found out about demons, Leo says something like, so demons don't want people finding out about them either, just like witches don't want people finding out that they're witches. So that's why when you vanquish a demon, they disappear. So most of the time, yeah, when they blow up a demon, it's blown up, whatever, it's gone, poof, into thin air. But then other times they blow up demons or vanquish them and it like shoots guts everywhere. And then also, If demons don't want people to find out about them, why would Shax attack them right in public, and half the other demons sometimes attack them in public too? Also, why would you just always be in public and like it will just like reduce your chance of being attacked? But the whole Shax thing was super annoying part where people found out that they were witches and stuff, because later on we find out that that's what the cleaners do. The cleaners are supposed to clean up those messes. Where the hell were the cleaners when that happened? Please tell me that you guys have thought about this and I'm not just crazy. Oh, okay, one thing that really doesn't make sense is magic school. When they introduced magic school, what? Leo was supposed to know that magic school existed literally the whole time and never told them. They could have found out so much stuff and information. Who needs a book of shadows when all those books exist? Also, do the kids who go to magic school, like do they go to regular school and then go there in the summer or afterwards? Is it like Hogwarts? They go somewhere completely different? Is it another dimension? What do all those people do? They could have gone there and learned the craft so much earlier. Why wouldn't Grams have sent them there to keep them safe? Why wouldn't they just always be in magic school? Whatever keeps magic school safe from demons, why wouldn't they have that around their house? When Billy gets introduced, like why? It was really annoying. The whole like Billy plot was super annoying. Her sister, the last couple episodes that were like Sex in the City, why did they do that? It like ruined the whole show. Oh, also when Chris was their white lighter and Leo wasn't around very much, they never needed healing. Nothing happened that they needed someone to come heal them because Chris couldn't heal. And then later in the show, Wyatt is like 2-3 years old and learns how to heal, and Paige still hasn't, and Chris is an adult and doesn't know how. Oh, and then Leo. So in the beginning, when no one knows Leo is a white lighter except for the viewer, he can like move things around. He can open all the drawers and stuff in the attic and like move pages in the book. Then he just can't do that anymore. If Leo can move all that stuff, why wouldn't he do it all the time? Also, Chris. Okay, so Wyatt has powers from the womb and has that like bubble thing, but Chris doesn't have any powers from the womb. Oh, and then this one. Okay, so before we know that Chris is their nephew, that episode where the blonde witches like try to trade places with them, he's supposed to be hooking up with them. It makes it seem like he doesn't know that they're not Phoebe, Piper, and Paige, like, but yet he hooks up with one of them. So was he supposed to think that he was hooking up with his aunt? Like, I'm just so confused by that. Like, it's so creepy. Kit. Okay, so Kit in the beginning is this cat, like they're familiar or whatever. At one point in that episode where that one cat becomes like a warlock and they have to kill it 9 times, Phoebe says, oh my god, I'm never gonna look at Kit the same way or change in front of him. So she's saying Kit is a boy cat. And then later on they find out that Kit is like a ginger woman. What? Oh, and then, okay, season 6 with Sheridan. Sheridan is probably one of the worst characters they have too. She's just absolute, like, the worst. So why wouldn't the cleaners fix that whole situation with Sheridan? Or the demons that, you know, cut people's heads off when they find out about a demon? Or why couldn't they just use, like, white light or memory dust on her? Also, so when Cole becomes the source, which honestly, I'm thinking, like, it might just be the worst plot that they ever did, because everything was perfect. He was only human for like 2 episodes, which sucks. When he becomes the source, Phoebe can't get premonitions about him being the source at first, but when it was the old source, she could have premonitions about the old source. So how does the source's powers protect? It honestly makes no sense to me. When the Nexus comes out and Cole has to take it in to protect them and save the whole world or whatever and kill the source, why does the source's powers go into Cole? Obviously that's something that the seer did, because when Cole dies, obviously the source's powers just go to the wasteland, so why wouldn't they have just gone there then? And then later, when he like gets all those powers from the wasteland, they did the power stripping potion and all the powers go to another demon. Why? That makes no sense. They used power stripping potions before and nothing happened. When they did the power stripping potion on Cole when he was Balthazar, his powers didn't go anywhere, they're just gone. Also, when he comes back from the wasteland, that pisses me off because he's actually good. He's not really a demon, he just has these powers, and they just don't give him a chance. Like, she was still in love with him and crying and stuff. All of a sudden, she's like pissed at him and like thinks he's trying to do all this crazy stuff. That wasn't him, that was the source that did all that. He wanted to tell her and he was struggling so much. So they need to come together in the manner, like touching or holding hands or whatever, to get their powers like they did in the beginning. When Phoebe said that spell and Book of Shadows and they all got their powers and they were all there at the same time. And then later, when Paige comes at the house and they all shake hands and that thing happens above like the chandelier, they all have their powers, blah 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 blah. But we find out later in that same season that Paige actually always had her power, or she just had the power to orb, and she was put up for adoption. Why wouldn't Grams and her mother bind her powers? How would she have had her powers when Prue had that power? Because 2 people can't have the same power in the same time, but yet sometimes they go to the future and have their powers, sometimes they go to the past and have their powers, and sometimes they don't. None of that makes any sense. Also, they were so old when they went to the past and they had powers. They're like, we don't remember that. How do you not remember having those powers? They were so old. And not knowing that the mother was pregnant, so when they found out that the mom had Paige, she was saying, oh, Phoebe and Piper, you were just toddlers, you thought mommy got a little fat. But Prue didn't know. She was like 10 years old. And how did the girls not know about Sam at all? Like, if he was their white lighter and was sleeping with the mom and got her pregnant, how on earth did they not remember him? Like, he was around growing up. And if Sam was her white lighter, why wouldn't he have been their white lighter? Because later on, Leo says all this stuff like, oh, I've been your white lighter your whole life. Like, I've been watching over your whole life, even when they weren't technically witches yet. And then sometimes Leo seems like he's known them their whole lives and has watched them, but then other times he says things or like doesn't know, and like they have to fill him in about something that happened when they were kids. Like, none of that makes any sense to me. So Prue died and Paige got the power to move things, but she has like a weird orbing version of it. So what would happen if Piper or Phoebe died? How would her power work? And why does she get so many powers? She gets to orb and she gets to do all this other stuff? That's not fair. And at one point, Piper says something to that boy who's a fire starter, that powers aren't evil, it's the way we use them. So even though he's a fire starter and it's supposed to be like a power to protect the source, that the way he uses it is what's important, and that the power itself isn't evil. But when Phoebe gets power, when she's like married to Cole and she's like pregnant with the sources like air or whatever, she throws fire, and that's when Leo says something like, that's the upper level of demon power. Like, I thought the powers weren't evil, but it's the way we use them. They have these extra lives, like they're the Charmed Twins, but yet they still have jobs and boyfriends and things like that. So I wonder, what do the demons do? Like, the demons only do evil things? Like, do they have jobs? Do they have like stuff that goes on in the real world? Things like Cupid and then like all the other magical creatures, like, do they have lives outside of being magical? Like, do they want to try to have a normal life? Is that something that they do? I'm not really so sure. So white lighters and witches aren't allowed to be together, or like you're not supposed to be with your own charge. So if Leo didn't get involved with Piper, would he be able to like meet someone on the street and fall in love with them and marry them? Because he's still not aging and stuff. So also just the fact that Leo aged more than anyone else throughout the entire show when he was the one who wasn't supposed to age for the longest time. Oh, and the source. Okay, so we know that the source is after them the whole seasons until they kill him, but he brings all these people, like he like hires Balthazar and like all these other people to do his job for him. But if he has all these powers, why isn't he the one using them? But then there's a Nexus, and the Nexus and the Woogie are the same thing, right? Like, please someone help me explain this, because the Woogie is whatever the Woogie is that's in the basement, and it comes up through that way. But that's the same thing as the Nexus, comes up through that way, it goes inside of you, it makes your eyes black, it changes like from what the Woogie is, but the same spell that Phoebe used to vanquish the Woogie is the same one that they used to get rid of the Nexus. And then, okay, so at the end when we find out that Cole was like suffered like in like when he was vanquished, for some crazy reason he's stuck watching them on an astral plane or something. He's just permanently watching them forever. That's so creepy. Like, I'm glad he came back, but he comes back to talk to Piper, he never sees Phoebe, and then when he actually gets killed, Paige knows all about it, and Phoebe isn't even in part of it, and she's so happy about it. Like, why? She's the one who drove him to become so crazy evil in season 5 when he had those powers. Oh, and then sometimes, this is what they say, so sometimes when they make one of the sisters evil, making her evil will make the other sisters evil, making the book evil, but sometimes they are evil and the book doesn't look evil, and then sometimes one of them is demon or evil at the moment, and like other ones aren't. It makes no sense, like these things that people say in certain episodes don't carry over to other ones. Also, why wouldn't they just use the power of 3 will set as free spell for literally everything? Why would you even write spells or do anything if that spell is going to work every time when you try to use it because you have no other option? In season 2, when Piper's sick and Leo heals her and that doctor is like all about trying to find out what happened, and he puts their blood in those monkeys and the monkeys get their powers. They're both having the same powers on the same plane, which it doesn't make sense. But you're not supposed to, two people aren't supposed to be able to have the same power at the same time. And then he also gets their powers from inserting their blood into him. Is that because of the awakening spell, or is that because Leo healed her? Like, what was that caused by? Because does that mean that anytime they ever want to go give blood, like donate blood, that someone will get their powers if they take their, like, that doesn't even make sense. Oh, so also this part I've been thinking about. So when Wyatt is born at the home, he's born in like this big swaddle of orbs, and he's like half orb. So was that how Paige was born? I wonder. But then later on, Chris is born in a hospital, so he's born in a swaddle of orbs. Oh, and I want to know, does Leo have an ID? Like, they put him in society. The elders put him into society, and like, he can be a plumber or a handyman or whatever. So where does he get the handyman tools? Did the elders just supply him with that? Where do white lighters sleep? Not all white lighters have a girlfriend and can, like, a wife can just live in a house. Other magical creatures that aren't witches and stuff that like live in society, like, where do they get money? Jason and a bunch of other people that they fall in love with and that they are dating. Like, how can you be in love with someone who literally doesn't know you're a witch? Like, this huge part of your life. How? Oh, and then the episode where they go back in time when Cole's trying to kill them, and the guy tells Phoebe, this apple peel is the fruit of knowledge, and it can tell you the first initial of your true love, and it's a C, which just happens to be Coop as well as Cole. But what other form would an apple peel, like what other letter could that be? An O? What other letter could it have been? Like, that was just so annoying. And I'm curious, so does Coop age? That's all I want to know. Cupids and things like that. Do they age? Is he gonna age with Phoebe? Like the guy who's the ice cream man who takes over for the ice cream man that dies, is he, like, was he a normal person his whole life and he found them and was like, oh, I'm meant to be the ice cream man? Or is it the way that they find people and they're like, oh, you're meant for this? Those things confuse me. Do they still have normal lives, or are they just doing that guy just dropped everything in his life to become the ice cream man? Oh, and then that warlock test they do on Dan and Jack earlier on, they say that if he bleeds red or if he bleeds, then he's warlocks don't bleed or something like that. So they're saying that if he bleeds that he's human, but upper level demons bleed red too, so if they froze Cole and did that warlock test on him, he would bleed red and they would just think he was a human. Oh, okay, so when they go in the underworld, at first, Cole tells them that their powers aren't going to work as well, but later on they go down there and they can blow up and use all of their powers totally normal. Human powers were perfectly fine in the regular world. Oh, and I want to know what Grams did for a living. She supported and raised 3 girls and was a witch and like fought demons and did all this stuff and got married 6 times or 4 times or whatever it was. And we never have met any of those people that she married. What did she do for a living? How did Grams afford to live in that house? Mom, even when she had the kids, she was pregnant with Phoebe when they went back in time. She was a waitress. So how did they afford to live in that house? Oh yeah, and if Leo had been watching them their whole lives, then wouldn't he have known that the mom was pregnant and that Paige existed? So when they finally find out that Cole is Balthazar in season 3, he can't use his powers because it risks him being evil and it makes him like go back and forth, and like then he's really struggling because the more he uses his powers, the more evil he is or whatever. But then through season 4, when bounty hunters are chasing him, he uses his powers all the time to help them, and it's really not a problem and he's totally good and it's totally fine. And then also when that guy Sykes attacks, that makes no sense. None of that whole episode makes any sense. When he becomes, just to stab some other demon, he becomes Balthazar and won't be able to turn back. If the elders had found out his mom was pregnant with a half-white lighter, half-witch child, they would have, punished the mother? But yet later on, if she can reconstitute the charmed ones after Prue died, they're all about it. Like, they're not upset then. Like, okay. Then when Paige becomes like a witch, if she gets her powers, technically she has 48 hours to decide if she wants to be good or evil. But when they got their powers, like they never had that option. And so you see the source is half face and how gross he is. Like, was he ever a child? Like, was he just like born into the thing he was, or like there was like a little baby source? Oh yeah, and if Leo always knew about the source and the Brotherhood and all of that, why wouldn't he have told them about it sooner and like wanted them to do something about it? Okay, and before I go, I just want to mention my feelings about the prequel, reboot, whatever you want to call it. I'm pissed about it because it's not going to be Gilmore Girls, how it's a complete, like, you know, everyone gets back together, because the audience that watched Charmed is not going to want to see this when it's taking place in the 70s and it has completely different actors. I feel like what they're doing is taking a show that was so popular and trying to just like remake it for a new audience. It's kind of like what Girl Meets World did. I feel like that's what they're trying to do. And Girl Meets World is only on for what, 3 seasons, and now it's being canceled. This Charmed reboot thing is going to be really bad. I'm not going to watch it. I just think they're trying to take something that was so classic and like they're trying to ruin it, and everything's going to be different, and it's just a copycat of something that was originally good. So just leave something be, like it's classic, just let it be and don't fuss with it. It's just pissing me off. I think they're gonna do something like a reboot of Charmed. They just need to get all the real actors together and do like a movie. Okay, I'm running out of time on my card, so I gotta go, but I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know your feelings below. I've been wanting to do this video forever. I have so many more things floating around in my head that didn't make sense. I hope you enjoyed this Charmed rant, whenever times Charmed didn't make sense, and my prequel opinion. So thank you so much for watching. Give a video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to see more things and videos from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!